Hi everyone, my name is Renee. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. If you are a returning or a new subscriber, thank you as well. Your support is very much appreciated. I wanted to talk today about when we have trouble saying no. Now, I have done a number of videos and will continue to do videos on how to set healthy boundaries, not caring what people think about you, not needing their approval. And so to have difficulty saying no is really fits right along with that. It's essentially another way of saying that there's the difficulty here in setting a boundary. So what can we do about this? Where does it come from? So if you find that you have trouble saying no to people, you are afraid of disappointing them, maybe you are afraid of what they think, there's that point again. You are afraid to draw the boundary and say, I'm sorry, no thank you, this is not good for me. And instead you find yourself going along with what other people want you to do when it's not right for you. Sometimes we do this because we don't even know what we're feeling. We don't know what we think. Sometimes we're detached from that. And so we find ourselves saying, yes, okay, I'll do that. And then what happens is we have anger or resentment come up. So if we don't know what we're thinking or feeling, we don't know what our standards are, we don't know where or what our boundaries are, the first way that we can learn to find out is by listening to what feelings come up after we say yes. So if that anger and resentment comes up afterward, or you're dreading doing this thing, or you don't have a good feeling about it, or you're angry at yourself, or you're angry at the other person, listen to that. That's your feelings. That's your diagnostic clue right there. So when we don't know what our boundaries are, our indicator, first and foremost, is to pay attention to our feelings. And if we're getting that, oh man, I wish I hadn't said yes, I want to back out of this. Or I wish I hadn't said yes, this really doesn't feel right, I gotta do something. Or I'm feeling very angry. Listen to those feelings. If you grew up, we're gonna get into some of the childhood bullshit briefly here, because that's the root of this issue most of the time. If you grew up not being allowed to have your own autonomy, not being allowed to express who you were, and that be okay, and for that to be okay, not being allowed to be who you were. You had to be what someone else wanted you to be. You had to exist as an extension of that person. That's narcissism. You likely have trouble perhaps knowing what you're feeling, and definitely asserting boundaries, because you learned from a young age that in order to get love, in order to not get abandoned, in order to perhaps not be abused, if there was abuse going on, you had to blend in and take care of someone else. You had to put yourself aside to caretake emotionally or otherwise this other person, this adult who had not learned how to do that for themselves. So our parents did the best that they could with what they knew, and with what, if they had not healed that wound within themselves, they passed it to you. And now you find yourself doing the same thing to others. Sure, I'll do that. Yes, I'll go along with that, even though it doesn't feel right to me, because that's what was learned. So when we want to start unlearning this, what we have to do is to give ourselves a lot of self-parenting. We have to love ourselves through this process of unlearning this programming that we learned. If you find it difficult to go from starting to know your feelings, starting to realize that you are saying yes when you want to say no, it can be very, very difficult in that moment. When someone is asking something of you, it can be very hard to say no. Sometimes you may be in the right mood where you do, and then maybe you feel guilt or self-doubt afterwards. But if you are in this moment, or in a moment where someone is asking you, hey, do you want to do something or go somewhere, or will you agree to something? And instead of saying yes, what I want you to start doing, or what can really help you, a good intermediate step, is to start saying, I'll think about that. I'm not sure yet. Let me think about it and get back to you. The intention behind this is to buy yourself some time. It will give you the time to step back, process what they said, process how you feel, process the energy you felt from them, assess whether or not this is something good for you or not. And there is nothing wrong with you saying, I'm not sure yet. Let me think about it. I just need a moment to think about it. I need to check my calendar. I need to check with my spouse, or whatever that is for you. If anything, it gives you a moment to sit with it. So if you are so used to automatically comply, yes, because you don't want to disappoint people, it can be hard to then automatically go to its opposite, if that is in fact the answer that you want to give. So allow yourself that time to say, I'll think about it. When you say this, when you say, I'll think about it, or if you say no to someone's request, you might get some pushback from them. If you start drawing boundaries with people and not automatically complying, which is what you learn to do, you may get some anger back from people. But here's the thing, when you set boundaries with people, they let you know who they are. So if you set a boundary with someone and they automatically turn it back on you, they project on you, they become manipulative, they tell you you're selfish, that you only think of yourself, that you love yourself too much, that you're this or that, they name call, all of that is telling you that this person does not like you setting boundaries. They need you to caretake them. And you, on the other hand, you have a choice to go along with that or not. But first and foremost, honor yourself. Love yourself. And loving yourself means doing what's best for you. Loving yourself means taking care of yourself, honoring your needs, and honoring what feels right. And if something doesn't feel right and you go along with it to please someone, then you are hurting yourself. And in the long run, and in the short run, that will not be a good thing for you. Take care of yourself. It is not selfish to do that. It's not. Another thing I found that is really helpful when making these decisions is to step back and ask myself, am I agreeing with someone because is it what I want? Or is it just what they want? Maybe it's what they think is right, but is it what I think is right for me? Would saying yes bring me joy? Would it bring me excitement and happiness to do this thing or not? Or am I just doing it because, hey, someone wants me, and maybe there's a part of you that's a little codependent and a little bit needy, and it is grabbing onto that sense of, oh, someone wants me, because you haven't learned how to fill yourself up yet. So when we have these parts in ourselves, we have to exercise a lot of self-awareness and know that, yes, I have these wounds, I'm working on them, I'm healing them, and I know that sometimes when people show this interest in me, I get excited and I'm very easy to comply and to go along with what they want, because that's that old wound talking. So what we have to do, again, like I said, parent ourselves through this process, love and nurture that inner child within us that didn't get that love when we were little. So when we love this inner child, what that would look like is to say to ourselves, or to tap through this, or talk to ourselves privately and say, even though I didn't get that love and approval, I love that little me, and I love the little boy or the little girl, and I want her to know that she doesn't have to go along with this. And if the other person gets mad, it's not her responsibility to fix them. We can self-soothe and love ourselves through this process. Remind that little boy or that little girl within you that they can say no. It is safe to say no. It is a good thing to say no if this is not what you want to do. It is okay to do that. So that is how we can reparent ourselves and love our inner child. Allow yourself time. This takes time to unlearn. Again, if we were met with negative, painful consequences growing up when we said no, there is a reason why, as adults, we have a hard time doing that, because that was met with pain, abandonment, rejection, criticism, judgment, all sorts of things that taught us that when we say no to someone, it hurts. It is not good, and it's much easier to comply. When you are unlearning that, be patient with yourself. Be patient. Take a small step. Like I said, move into that intermediate step of, I'm not sure, I'll think about it. And, and start to move into that space. And as you get more comfortable, as you strengthen that muscle, you will be able to process quicker. You'll be able to know your feelings more easily. And you'll be able to say, oh, I'm sorry, thank you, but no thank you. Or I'm sorry, I won't be doing that. That's not good for me, but I'm sure someone else will be able to do the job, or whatever the situation is. This is okay to do this. Be patient and be loving with yourself. I know sometimes when we don't say no right away, we say yes, or we say something that is not true, in our mind at the same time is just screaming, no, the answer is no. We can, after the fact, be so hard on ourselves and kick ourselves and wish that we could go into that situation again and redo it and now say what is very clear to us. So love yourself through that process and be easy on yourself. You're learning, you're growing. And when those situations come up, they are there for learning and growing. You can thank that person that came into your life for giving you an opportunity to practice, even though you may not have responded the way you wanted to, or maybe you did somewhat, but not as much as you'd wanted to. But that person came into your life to teach you, to give you an opportunity to practice, working this new, this newfound strength that you're building up. And the universe will give you more opportunities to practice in the future. So again, these are ways that we can outgrow the old, and we can learn to say no. We can love ourselves through this process. We can reparent ourselves. We can learn to self-soothe, because we are undertaking a lot and it's not easy. So I hope that this has helped. This is a great topic. If you have questions or comments about it, please leave it for me below the video. As always, I so appreciate you joining me and coming along on this journey. It's wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.